I could build a spaceship.
Hello and welcome to Space Dock Minisode Minisode 14C.
14-C at this point, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, dash X dash 1 subsection alpha. I mean,
Yes. When will it end?
how many more subsection minisodes do you want?
I want to see if I can get at least 2 more out before Monday, because that way we've done all of the Enterprises.
Anyway, yeah. So this little minisode is another impromptu one.
Yes.
Before our main minisode where we're interviewing Lee Stringer, which will be out
Sunday.
Anyway,
and we can get away from Star Trek at that point as well. Talking about something else.
Oh, thank God! Sorry,
just 2 more episodes. 2 more episodes. 2 more episodes.
Yeah, just light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. Oh, it's a nacelle. Anyway,
Yes, it's the JJ prize coming straight for you. It's a lens flare. No.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're about to do this minisode, and the reasons for this minisode are obscured behind the spoiler veil. So
Yes.
once again, if you don't want to know anything about Star Trek Beyond, and I'm having to be really careful about even how I title this, and I've taken 2 passes at saying this bit.
Third time is the charm.
Third time's the charm. Then don't listen any further, and we'll see you back here next time when you do actually watch the film.
Yes. Come and listen to the Battlestar one, because that's fine. That's 10 years old now. So if you haven't seen that, you're never going to see it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy. Just wait till Sunday and enjoy the minisode with our interview with Lee Stringer about all of his amazing ship designs, which is brilliant. So anyway, let's just give it the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the spoiler zone, everyone. Star Trek Beyond spoiler zone. Yet again, here we are, out on the final frontier again.
Spoiling Beyond. This is only a spoiler if you can't put 2 and 2 together from watching trailers, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, I figured the reveal of fuck it. We're behind the spoiler zone now.
Yeah. We're talking about it now. Yeah.
I figured out the reveal of the Enterprise A simply from the first trailer when you see Bones, Spock, and McCoy all standing there beaten up but wearing leather jackets, looking up at something, going, "You really want to go out there again?" It's like, yeah. So what are they looking at? I wonder.
Telegraphing.
More telegraphing than a bloody ELO fucking song.
Yeah.
Anyway, today, one of the artists on Star Trek Beyond released onto Facebook, Sean Hargreaves is his name, he's a concept artist, released a load of artwork revealing the actual Enterprise A. And basically, if you've seen the film, as I hope you have by this point, you see that you only really see the Enterprise A in Star Trek Beyond for about as long as you see the Discovery in that terrible, terrible trailer.
It's not even that long, is it? It's because it's being built for the most of it, and then you get maybe 5 seconds as it flies by, and it does a loop. It does a barrel roll. Why does it do a barrel roll?
I don't know. Something that big shouldn't know.
No.
So I'm drinking alcohol. Oh. Anyway, sorry about that.
Numb the pain.
Yeah. There is no pain, you are receding. Anyway, so here we are to review the Enterprise A version 2.
Yes.
Simply from the fact that we can actually now see the bastard thing.
Can I just point out something very pedantic, and this is my only nerdy kind of rant at this point. So why what have they done to earn the Enterprise A at this point? The other ship had been around for 45 plus years, had saved Earth on numerous occasions, and that only just got them the Enterprise A. These guys, they've crashed into the Earth twice, and then blew up the ship.
Well, in fairness, excuse me. Sorry about that. This booze isn't going down very well. But in fairness, what they did was the Enterprise A, as it was standing, was just another ship being built at Yorktown. and they saved the Yorktown, so they named it after that in honour of the Enterprise crew saving the Yorktown.
Well, that's as good as an excuse as I expect we're going to get about it. So
Well,
we'll move on from it.
It at least has some semblance of kind of understanding. It's like it's sort of naming it based on the honour of saving.
I'm still going to do an entire minisode to myself bitching about registry numbers at some point.
Yeah. Do you know what? When you do that, you and Pete can just have at it. I appreciate being invited on, but no. Anyway, so the artwork from Sean Hargreaves, and we'll put the link up on Facebook group without the stills.
Yes.
Is gives us a nice shot of the ship from pretty much every angle.
Mm-hmm.
Now both Andy and I know, shall we say, one of the lead visual effects artists on.
We know a senior individual who worked on the VFX.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice and vague, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that these are. I think these were final concepts, but these are in no way what you actually see on the screen. These were what were then signed off and then passed over to them to make the actual assets.
Yeah. So while you can look at these things, it will give you as good an indicator as what you see as anything else. Because, as I said before, you really don't get to see the Enterprise A for very long in the actual film. So, well, I'll tell you what. Let's just go through it. I mean, going from the JJ Enterprise, because obviously when we went from Enterprise to Enterprise A in the Prime universe, shall we say, it was quite a dramatic design departure, wouldn't you say? Squaring off
so
things.
much. I mean, all you could just sit there for hours and take in all the different details. It was, what was the technical term? I think it's Control C and then Control V.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No, but I mean, but I'm talking about the Khan sort of motion picture Enterprise was more squared off. It was more.
Oh, you mean the going from? Are you referring to going from the original Enterprise to the refit Enterprise, or going from the original to refit? Okay, fine, all right. I thought you meant from the refit to the A, which was Control V.
No. If you go from the refit to the A, you're basically just inflate the secondary hull for one episode.
Yeah. It's
the fatty prize.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot squarer. It's a much higher detailed model, obviously, and they spent a lot more time with the doing the Aztec painting. Because again, it's meant to be seen on a big screen as opposed to 1966 TVs. If they were in colour, you were lucky. So it forgives a lot of sins. Because one of the things that I found since they've restored the original Enterprise model is just how well put together and detailed it actually is. We've always kind of dismissed it as being a 60s effect, Yeah. It's like, the effects aren't great and it looks kind of old and blah, blah, blah. But when you see the model in person, and when you see, there was a guy a little while ago who recreated scenes from the movies with the original model, just taking pictures of it and doing Photoshop magic. It's like, no, that's still a viable model. You could put that in a film today, light it properly, and it would still work. So that's great. But yeah, the movie model is... it's a lot more squared off, like you say. It's a lot bigger, more substantial, I'd say. And it just feels... Well, I mean, for me, the refit is the best looking of all Enterprises, and everyone who disagrees with me is wrong. But that's an argument for next week, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it?
At some indeterminate point in the future, I forgot, our schedules are a bit squiffy.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm trying to say is... What I was trying to get round to is the fact that going from the original TV show to the refit, and then it was quite a dramatic change. Going from
they spent 20 minutes in the film just showing it off, didn't they?
Yeah, let's just drift slowly around.
It's softcore spaceship porn.
Oh God, yeah. I wouldn't mind, but just after you've seen it. Come on. But the other thing is that when you go from the JJ Enterprise to the effectively the refit, its differences are not that significant.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's. I mean, firstly, it is a different asset. I mean, we've spoken to this senior individual. No part of the new Enterprise is the same as on the old one, at least from the external model. Every single bit has been rebuilt from scratch.
Yeah.
So, although it's recognisably a Constitution-class ship from this universe, it's still noticeably different in some respects. So there is that. I mean, I suppose the difference here is, whereas in the Prime universe, when you went from the refit to the A, there was no change. They just relabeled the model. Here, they've gone and it's a completely new model with subtle differences. Although, we don't know if it's going to carry over into the next film. So for all we know, they might forget all about this come the next one. But at the minute, it's a different-looking thing. I mean, let's just get into some of it, I suppose. The most striking thing when you first see it on the screen, I think, is the neck's a lot more substantial.
Yes. The neck's more substantial. Kind of looking at the design now. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of a halfway house between the neck of a Constitution class and the neck of a Galaxy class, in terms of the way it kind of literally sweeps to the very back of the ship.
Yeah.
Which to me is a little bit odd, and because the front of the neck is still bolt upright.
Yeah.
So it gives it this kind of like kiddies play slide kind of vibe. It's kind of, straight up at the front and then slow slope down to the back. Whereas, even like the other Enterprise, the sort of original JJ Enterprise, everything seems to be leaning forward.
Yeah, I mean, the original one, the whole sense you get from it was this: it's meant to be it's meant to always look like it's in motion. It always wanted a sense that it was moving even when it's stationary. And it certainly had that kind of 1950s aesthetic, with lots of kind of chrome bits on the buzzards. It kind of always looked like it had a sense of purpose. It was always moving.
Yes. And so, and even on when it comes to the sort of buzzard scoops at the front of the nacelles, they had cowlings that were leaning forward. And so, to me, that's the one thing that I find very odd with this new A version, is that it kind of feels like they don't quite know whether they want it to look like it's fast, or they just want to try and make it look like the old 60s version, or what. Because
I mean, I'm just looking at a picture now of the original Enterprise from the '09 film. In fact, I'll just post it here so we're both looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the most telling thing here is not so much of the neck itself, but it's how far forward the dish projects from it.
Well, it's the secondary hull, I think, is what it is.
But the secondary hull on the dish, there is a big step, whereas on the A, and I'm talking now from what we see in the film more so than what you see in the concept art here. It's a lot closer to the hull of a ship, as it were. You don't have quite the same step out in front of it.
No. The saucer, the dish on the secondary hull is kind of almost in line with the front of the neck. Whereas on the JJ Prize, the thing was poking out like a good sort of like 20% further out, so it's almost like the center of the saucer, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, at the minute, we've only really seen the JJ Prize from the JJA, as we'll call it from now on. The JJ.
JJA.
The JJA.
The JJ.
This is going to get confusing.
God.
But we've only really seen it from the one angle, as the proper ship, and it's weird. It's your eye wants to take in that section because it's very familiar but also very different. It seems a lot more, I want to almost say military. It feels much more like a military vessel just from that aspect, how it looks. It's a lot more substantial. So, that's certainly what it evokes to me when I see that. And again, we can see, like you said, the slope of the neck kind of projects rearward, but we see that as well in the original JJ Prize, which kind of had the neck sloping back along a lot of the secondary hull.
But in the case of the JJ Prize, it's very deliberate. It's like a 45-degree angle from back to the top.
Yeah. It's the new one seems to slope a lot more, doesn't it?
Yeah, which goes back to what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
more like the D. It's that kind of slow sweeping arc up to the saucer, as opposed to. I know it doesn't fan out like the D, but it kind of is that kind of. How can I put it? It's kind of a really weird kind of. It's like someone's sort of, I don't know, drawing the Nike image. You know, it's like a swoop.
Yeah.
Which kind of is mirrored in the struts holding the nacelles. Actually, it's the same shape.
Yeah. I was going to say the nacelles are probably the next thing we'll go on to in a second, but yeah, it's very sympathetic with that. I mean, let's chat about the nacelles then and where they are. The first thing to notice is the nacelles don't seem quite as big. You know, the JJ ones are quite large with the buzzards at the front, and then they taper off, don't they?
Yeah.
Whereas these are a lot more your traditional, just cylindrical shape.
Yeah, the thing with the old JJ one was the fact that it's got that sort of extra bulbous bit that sort of hangs down off the bottom of them.
Yeah.
And it has that cowling at the front, which again looks like a sort of weird buzzard scoop foreskin kind of leaning over.
Well,
the front
it always reminded me of like a Cadillac Bel Air or something like that. It looked like it belonged on a bloody 1950s car.
It does look like they've sort of bolted something on the top and the bottom of the nacelles just to give it something extra.
Yeah.
But for me, those nacelles I didn't have a problem with. And the struts holding them, I didn't have a problem with on the old JJ Prize. The only thing I had a problem with them, and it's a problem that hasn't gone away with the new version, is the fact that the nacelles do that Enterprise D thing of sprouting out literally from the very arse of the ship.
Yeah, they're very much. It doesn't feel like they're substantially connected to the ship, whereas on the refit, the A, if you will, they're a lot further into the secondary hull. You know, it gives a sense that they go somewhere. Yeah,
well, I mean, you know, all the good Enterprises, you know, if I'm honest, you know, they all have the same deal. You know, you get the nacelles coming from the secondary hull, but you get like the secondary hull continues out past the nacelles. So you like even with the Enterprise E, you get that sort of little sort of cargo bay that sort of literally juts out the back. So you feel like these things feel like wings effectively, and you get that with the B, and you get that with the C. You don't get it so much with the D because obviously that's all one single form.
Yeah.
But essentially, I think that's one thing that you always can tell when you see a sort of a good, you know, Federation ship. The secondary hull is clearly a separate part from the wings that hold the nacelles on, but the wings themselves feel like a part of the ship.
Yeah.
And the one thing with JJ Prize, both versions, is that sweep that goes right down and literally tapers down to the very end of the shuttle bay.
Yeah.
Just makes it look like someone's sort of rubbed out the very end, and it looks like they haven't finished it. Yeah,
it does kind of. It just ends abruptly, like you said. It's like, you know, you've got. I'm liking what we're doing with the saucer, the neck. That's all kind of cool. We got the nacelles, and oh wait, lunchtime, got to go.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like I say, if you ever look at any good Federation ship, you know, ones that you admire, you will always find that, like, if you look at the secondary section, the nacelles effectively come out from the middle of the second saucer and the secondary hull. Sorry, and you know, it does it for the E, it does it for the A, it does it for the refit, it does it for the original, obviously, and even if you look at things like the Reliant, you know, the same deal. They come out from the middle, they come out from the edge, sort of midway down the secondary hull. And so you get this little jutty bit out that comes out the back. And that, to me, always sort of finishes the job off, if you know what I mean. It kind of gives it that little bit extra. Makes it almost feel like a boat.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the weakest part of the original JJ Prize was the back end of the secondary hull. It just, like you say, it just kind of seemed like an afterthought. They'd lost... They just kind of lost direction at that point. So... I mean, that was that. I mean, what we can say about the A, from what we've seen, is you don't really get a good look of it in the film. because it's either in that time lapse being built or it's in shadow. So we don't really have a good sense of what it looks like in the film. From these concept art images, I really do not like what I see. But we have, from our senior source, been told that the first thing to go was the duck's anus. So
yeah,
we don't know what they're going to do with the back end, but hopefully it's going to look better than this.
Yeah, because the artwork makes it look like, well, as I said on the text before we recorded, it looks like a cat's bum, except the cat happens to have been eating a Jay's loo block, and it's sort of got a blue arse. It's just weird. The two nacelle struts basically come down to a point at the very, very back, and that just, well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Enterprise J.
I've told you about mentioning that thing in my presence.
I know, but it feels necessary at this point. But if you look at the Drexler thing for the Enterprise J, it does exactly the same thing as these big, sweepy sort of wings that come out. But they all come down to a single point at the very back, and you think, well, what's there? It's just a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it from the you got one shot which is like almost square onto the rear, and I don't necessarily dislike how from that angle the nacelles come together. But what I definitely dislike is when you look at it side on, and you've got this weird sort of triangle point coming out from it because the struts seem to blend all the way back rearwards. And yeah, it's just from the side, these concept art images do not look good.
No.
This again comes back to, I think, what we said about the Discovery. The weird thing here is, though, we've actually already seen the final ship, so we know this isn't the final one, but it's just, if this was what they'd released about what the new Enterprise was going to look like before we saw the JJ prize and everything else like that, there'd have been a bloody riot, and people were pissed off enough about the JJ prize as it was. But these, especially this side image, is just it is not good.
No, again, it's the wings. It's the wings.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's this weird thing that they again, if you look at the JJ prize, and I'm not a fan of that, the way that those nacelles go in, the arms that hold the nacelles where they're located, but when you look at them, they just look like functional things that are just holding the nacelles on. They might be curved, but they're fairly functional. They're sort of straight, and there's not too much flamboyance about them. When you look at the Enterprise A, the JJA, it looks like they sort of went overboard with, make it look like it's going fast with this sweepy curve. And the sweepy curve goes, again, right down to the very back and makes it look like, I'm trying to think of a way to nicely describe it, but essentially it looks like if you took the nacelles off, you'd think the ship was going backwards.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
Because in the first JJ prize, the Enterprise is all leaning forwards, so you get that feeling of it's leaning forwards, and it's the thing that's in like the Enterprise A, and it's in not the D so much, but the refit. Everything kind of leans forwards. The neck leans forwards. The saucer is jutting out. Everything else after that is kind of, if you were to draw a sort of line through the middle of it, you'd see it was like a 45-degree angle from the very top of the bridge to the very back of the, to the base of the what's it? The fucking shuttle bay. Yeah. And so the angle of the ship, barring the nacelles, is literally leaning towards as if you're running forwards. And yet this thing, it's also, all the sweeps are kind of going the wrong way, and it kind of feels like if it's only the nacelles and the saucer that are actually telling you which way this ship is really supposed to be going. Otherwise, it would just feel like it's going backwards.
Yeah, it's just, I'm genuinely curious to see what they end up doing in the final one. I'm actually looking at some other images here, and again, I will send these to you in the chat so you can have a look. It does look like they fixed that, because it would appear from these images like there is a little bit of, as we were saying before, the nacelles don't taper all the way to the end. It's like there's a little bit more of the secondary hull after that.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives me hope that what we end up seeing in the end is going to be more akin to what we expect from the
Yeah.
A from the Prime universe, the refit Enterprise. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of certainly the key differences between the JJ and the JJA.
Yeah.
The saucer seems to have slightly more of a lip going around it, and they've increased the font size to I think it's now a
144 point.
Yeah, Helvetica 144 point now, as opposed to 130 as it was before.
Yeah.
The bazaars are slightly different as well. They're a lot smaller, and they kind of have the blue. They're still blue, which I think is disappointing. I think it would have been a good opportunity to turn them red, but I'm guessing they're keeping that colour scheme going.
Yeah.
But they have this kind of spinner effect, much more like what we're familiar with from the original series. So that's kind of cool. I'm not overly fond of how the nacelles meet the struts. It seems to get very narrow at that point, both in the concept art and the actual ship.
Yeah, but also the other thing I don't like about that is it's so close to the very end of the nacelles. It makes them feel like they're perched.
Yeah,
It doesn't make them feel secure. Which is, again, another one of those things. I know this is all nitpicky, but
this is what we do, damn it.
This is what we do. But again, there's always everything from the refit, the original series, right up to even the bloody J. If you were going to go on, don't send me rude messages.
I'm not sending you rude messages.
That's right. It's just somebody. I've got another message come through. Sorry. They all the nacelles. Even when you see fan made crap, the nacelles are held midpoint.
Yeah,
that makes structural sense. Things are being held on at the strongest point midway with the least amount of load on either side. And again, it's one of those things that fan wank gets so wrong so often. It's like, when you suddenly move those things along, everything starts to look weird. And in the case of the JJA, as it were, we got to find a different way of calling it something. But but as far as the JJA is concerned, it's like you suddenly see it and you think, well, hang on, all you need is one person to stand on the very end of those at the other end, and they'll just snap off.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just need someone to jump up and down on one end, and
let's face it. I mean, one of the issues they had with the JJ Fries in Beyond is they sever the nacelles by flying through the struts.
Exactly.
Now it's just a case of, it's okay, we can just do it up closer to the nacelles themselves. It'll be fine. It's even less material now. Yeah. What I do like, though, is they have space from slightly further apart, which always kind of bugged me a little bit when you looked at the JJ Prize head-on. The nacelles just seemed a little bit too close together. Again, all of this is very, very pedantic. I mean, on the whole, this isn't a huge departure from the ship we've seen before.
No.
So if you liked the JJ Fries, you're probably going to still like this. If you hated the JJ Fries, you're probably still going to hate this. Yeah. I don't think it's going to convert anyone one way or the other.
There's more lights on it. There's more windows.
Yeah, there seems to be more windows. There is a gorgeous shot in Beyond, though, of when the Enterprise is flying through the nebula, and you're seeing all the self-illumination lights kind of casting light cones and shadows, which is absolutely gorgeous. And as soon as that's available in a high-def images, that's going on my desktop.
Yeah. One more thing for me.
Yeah.
That I don't like, but I certainly feel is a kind of a bit misstep. And this is now looking at the footage that has, shall we say, become available. Shall we say?
Yes. In the lending library.
Yeah, exactly. It is the fact that the saucer itself, comparatively, given the size of everything else, the saucer is comparatively small. And as I've said before, I like a good saucer.
You do like your big saucers, don't you?
I do like a big saucer, and the saucers tend to be the sort of driving force. So if you've got big wide nacelles, that saucer must be fucking enormous. And again, sometimes fan wank does get it right. And I'm not saying this. I'm going to send this to you just to hear the splutter, but
okay.
Basically, this is a terrible Enterprise F from Star Trek Online.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's been refitted, so they're giving you a new version of it.
This is a fan version. This isn't the official version, is it?
No,
This looks better than the official version, actually.
Yeah. Well, all I was going to say was, but look at it. Look at the size.
Yeah.
See the size of the saucer.
Yeah.
See, it's got everything that we were talking about. Look, the nacelles are held mid strut. They got the little pokey out bottom of the was it shuttle bay?
Yeah.
The saucer is enormous. I mean, it literally overshadows both sides of the buzzards, and that to me is a big deal. Whereas if you look at the saucer on the JJA, it sits between the buzzards.
No, it does not. I've got an image here which I shall send to you of it square on. The saucer is, and I think it just might be a trick of a camera angle in that side shot.
Yeah.
But it is actually wider than the nacelles.
Okie dokie, I shall. Oh yeah, there you go.
You see, and from that aspect, it's back to that traditional refit shape. You know, the nacelles, the struts are at that angle that we're familiar with. I mean, it looks quite good from that angle. But there's some good angles for we see on this very brief. I mean, it's a very, very brief shot. I'm not a huge fan of the size of the registry on the underside, but that is really getting picky and pedantic. But the ship itself, from that angle, I think works quite nicely. And as it's coming around from the side, that all works quite nicely as well. So that's all kind of cool. I'm not a huge fan of the barrel roll it does, but I'm going to put that down to Justin Lin.
yeah. Barrel rolling something that's 2 kilometers long is a bit like basically trying to pull a wheelie on an aircraft carrier. It doesn't really make much sense.
It really doesn't. And although Peter isn't with us because he's actually off recording the broadcast, we haven't typed the time up this time. We can tell you for a fact he did like the fact that this Enterprise was built in space, or at least on a space station, rather than on Earth.
Exactly.
It's exactly the same ship, effectively. But no, it's not built on Earth, so I like it now.
Yeah. Looking at that front on image that you provided me with, and from the, shall we say, highlighted version that I've got,
yes.
The neck actually pokes in. The neck actually does flare out like the Enterprise D.
It does a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, you can kind of get a sense of it there.
Yeah, it's just interesting, but again, the saucer still doesn't look big enough.
No, I think it's potentially just the way that lip works. Because if you remember when they have the time lapse of it being built, it seems pretty massive then, especially when they're dropping in the entire bridge section on top of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we'll have to wait until.
Yeah, all I was going to say, I'm going to send this to you, but this is obviously teaching you how to suck eggs, because I'm pretty sure you know what it bloody looks like. But it's a kind of relatively, it's the Enterprise A from the refit from... there she
my
is.
precious.
There she is, but look...
There she is.
But look at the size of that saucer. I mean, it's fucking enormous. It's the focus of the ship, and it's the thing that if you look at the other Enterprise, it just doesn't work. It's not big enough. It's just a bit clumsy.
I think, and again, we won't know this.
It's also very fat.
What, the new one or that one?
The new one.
I'm going to say, if you're calling my refit fat, I'm going to come over there and thump you.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The ILM YTS version that was in Star Trek V was fat. I'm not.
Yeah.
I want to see you try and defend that one, but yeah. But the Enterprise A that featured in Star Trek VI, again, look at the size of the saucer. The image I just sent you. I mean, that saucer is fucking enormous, and it's the thing you see straight away.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you focus on, and that to me is the thing that they're missing right now. That saucer could be a little bit thinner and a little bit wider, a bit like your pizza dough. You just need to roll it out a bit, get it a little bit thinner, a little bit wider.
All I've been trying to say though is that shot we see when it's out in space is very underlit because they're doing dramatic lighting, not like back in the day where it was just fire the studio lights at it and we'll just pretend the sun happens to be flying alongside the ship at all times.
Yeah,
they will insist on realism these days, but I do believe that sometime in the next week or so they're going to be releasing some official images of the new Enterprise. With some behind-the-scenes info on the VFX side of it.
Yeah.
So hopefully when that comes out, we can post those to the group as well, and we can have a more informed discussion when we can see it properly, not with a couple of grainy shots acquired from the lending library, as it were. But on the whole, I think this is I'm okay with this Enterprise. I'm not pitchforks or anything like that. Because again, I quite like the JJ prize, and this to me just seems like an evolution of that, which on of itself is nice. Because let's face it, they didn't even have to do that. We both know how easy it would be to just reapply the labels, the textures to the existing asset
and colour it slightly blue.
Exactly, it would have bothered them not one jot, you know. But they went to the trouble and the time of redoing this. I don't know if this was perhaps a way to try and address some of the complaints about the JJ prize, or if it was maybe a sense of now J.J. Abrams has, I'm assuming, moved on from Star Trek to do Star Wars and other shit. They want to go in a different direction, maybe with a different design. Or maybe, as you say, the next Star Trek film is going to involve whales in some respect because they're just rehashing the Prime films. Who can tell?
Yeah. They're just it'll be whales. It'll be
that's where his dad comes in. We have to go back to save whales, but accidentally end up rescuing his dad.
Yeah, that's it. Save him on a whaling mission.
Wait, actually, yeah, because Chris Hemsworth's in that Ron Howard film, isn't he? Heart of the Ocean.
Exactly. That's
it all comes together now.
They just beam down onto the ship that's hunting Moby Dick and save him.
Yeah. There you go.
Job was
So,
good.
spoiler alert for the fourth Star Trek film then.
Well, there you go.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm guessing that's probably all there really is to say about this. I mean, obviously, come the weekend, we'll throw these up on the group as well, so people can look at the pictures.
Yeah.
At that point, I think by then, anyone who really wants to see the film will have done so. Apologies if you haven't, but
yeah. Well, what we'll do is actually, I'll tell you what. Let's give it until we can successfully run away on holiday.
Oh, yeah. Then, I'm away next week, so that's fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, same here.
We're out of the country, and then we'll drop it.
Exactly.
Leave Pete to deal with a mess.
Exactly. As soon as I'm on the plane, I'm just going to go post and then get the fuck out.
Anyone who does want to go and see these images, though, they are all over all over Facebook. And if you just do a search for Sean Hargreaves, which is Hargreaves, he's posted both these shots of the Enterprise A, as well as some of the shots, the concept images of Yorktown Station and the USS George Foreman.
And on his page also pictures from some concept art that he did for Dread.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah, if you go on the banner across the top, it's quite nice.
Oh well, there you go. Oh yes, Mega City 1. There, Naz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's also some images of actually some images of the Enterprise JJ prize going into Yorktown.
Yeah. He posted some of the concept work for the interior of.
Have you seen the concept art for because it's also on here of the Franklin?
Yes, the USS George Foreman. Yes, I have.
But
seen.
Have you seen the underside? Because
yes.
I haven't seen the underside. Oh my lord! Someone had no idea, not a clue. Not
a jot, sir. No, that's
holy shit. Well, that's maybe for another time then.
Yeah. I don't want to overblow you just before we've got the last two Star Trek things to do, sort of thing, because they'll be like,
kill them all.
I'm out, all of them. Yeah. So, what do you want to give it for size? 0, but you have to not 0. Mark it 0.
Yeah, I'm giving it nothing.
Yeah, all of it. Nil point.
Yeah. Oh dear. Okie dokie. Well, thank you very much for listening. If you are indeed listening right after we've published this, and as ever, do stick around for the interview with Lee Stringer this week, and then our is it Sources next week?
Yes, I think it is Sources.
Yes, so stick around for that as well. That'll be good.
Yes,
and do keep in contact with us on either Twitter, which is @SpaceDocJury, or on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/SpaceDocJury. And of course, do leave us a nice little review on iTunes. Always appreciated.
Yeah, and on the Twitter at the minute, you can win prizes because is it Wings and Things?
I don't know who's doing that. It's not me.
It's not me, so I'm assuming it's Pete.
Wings and things. So if you just keep saying Delta Flyer and Defiant, you're bound to win.
Yeah, exactly. Or Bird of Prey.
Yeah, exactly. So do check that out. We're not giving away real prizes.
No, it's imaginary prizes, but there's some fantastic imaginary prizes to be had.
Yes, you could imagine what sort of prize we would have given you had we actually decided.
Didn't he
to do
well?
Yeah, it was amazing. Okay, well, until next time, take care. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Tatty bye.
Ta-ra.
Space Dog Jury is a production of 3 Angry Beards for GeekPlanetOnline.com.